Hey guys, this is Woodworker Royer, and I'm back with another video. Long story short, this is my new grinder. I had a Ryobi that was 10 years old that died the other day. The bearings went bad, and I didn't have the tool until after that for a separate project. I ended up buying the tool, so I didn't want to go deal with that. And the bearings would have been another $30 on top of the tool and everything. So basically I just decided that I was going to toss it, and I did. I got a Wen variable speed 8-inch grinder. It had a whole bunch of little cosmetic issues, which in and of themselves I wouldn't even mind, but it was just like there were 5 or 6 places where the paint was peeling off. There was one of them where they had dropped it before the guards were put on, which means that they saw that, because I mean it was literally like right there. They saw that, put the guard on anyway, and just left it. So, you know, quality control is questionable at that point. The variable speed thing, you had to, you know, set it to whatever, or you had to put it all the way down, turn it on, bring it up a little bit, wait until the motor caught up, bring it up a little bit more, wait again. And then the other thing, the main issue with it was that the wheels were extremely off balance. It was walking all over the place. So I returned that. I just didn't want to deal with all that. It's like if quality control can't figure out all of the various cosmetic issues and the fact that it's completely off balance, you know, who knows what what actual issues are there. Because you can balance a wheel, you can just actually buy better wheels, you know, and then you can ignore the paint peeling off of it. But if the paint's peeling off from the factory and all that stuff, it's just not great. So I returned it. I got a 6-inch DeWalt, only to figure out that I didn't have any wire wheels that would fit it, which is what I needed it for, as a wire wheel. And it was really smooth. It was a great little grinder, actually extremely light. I think it's actually lighter than my Milwaukee 7-inch angle grinder sander, which is what this housing is for. But anyway, it worked really well. The only problem is I didn't have a wire wheel for it. Well, I do have a 6-inch wire wheel. It just doesn't have the spacers for 1/2-inch arbors, because I took it out and put it on an 8-inch grinder. Which, by the way, worked absolutely perfectly for all of my needs. But basically it didn't have that, and I didn't want to deal with buying a new wire wheel for it and all this stuff. Just because I didn't think I was going to get it in time and all that. And I was like, well, if I'm going to go through all the hassle of ordering that, I may as well just order what I want, which is an 8-inch grinder, which is where this came in. So I ordered this. It's $140 instead of $100 for the 6-inch. And this is the 8-inch DW758. The 6-inch is the DW756. This is a pretty good I would say this is probably the best grinder you're going to get for that money, as far as my experience. And I've had pretty good experience with the market, with the grinders on the market at this point, for this kind of money. And this is a good grinder. It's got a really nice, simple guard system. It's got 5 screws, but they're threaded into the other side of the guard, so you don't have to deal with washers and nuts and bolts and all that. It's just 5 screws. One here, one there, one there, one there, one there. So you unscrew those. It works really well. It has a dust chute on the back on both guards, so I don't know if I'm a fan of that. I like the way it looks. I like the idea of it, but I don't have a dust collector system for this. So I'm not completely certain if I like it or not. It basically makes a big mess all over everything, which is what a grinder does anyway, but when it has a guard on the back of it, it just makes a mess in all directions. So at some point I'm going to make a housing thing for that, not to cut it off totally, but to just basically slow down all of the particles before the air gets out. And this thing really is basically like turning on a leaf blower in this portion, because it just moves so much air because of that wheel, which is kind of funny because it actually almost has an electric brake built in. Well, obviously it would be built in anyway, but because of the air resistance from that wheel moving so much air, it slows down much faster than normal. So, and I don't know if that has something to do with the guard design or what, but it does slow down quite a bit faster than normal grinders do with just wheels. And I think it slows down faster than the Ryobi. And again, I don't know if that's part of the design, part of the way that the airflow in the guard works or what, but just a fact. It does slow down very, very quickly relative to a normal grinder. The one drawback that I have to this, other than it's messy, but it's a grinder, so again, it doesn't really surprise me. This gets pretty warm, but I was out here, I don't remember how long I was out here, honestly. It was anywhere between 30 minutes to a couple hours. And the housing there got pretty warm. Not enough to burn me, but it was like, it was on its way for sure. And it's pretty much sealed, so it kind of makes sense there's no airflow in there. But you know, I would rather not see that. But again, it's not a industrial grinder. It was definitely not made to run 100% duty cycle, aka 60 minutes out of an hour. A duty cycle is basically how many minutes of an hour a tool will run not safely, but safely for the tool. For instance, my air compressor over here has, I think, 100% duty cycle. If not, it's at least 75, and I think it's much higher than that. It might be 90 or 100%. Meaning somewhere between 50 and 60 minutes, whatever 90% of an hour is, between 90 and 100% of an hour, it can run without a break. And so if you had a 50% duty cycle, it would run 30 minutes, and you have to give it a half an hour break, and then you can run it again 30 minutes. It does not mean I'm going to be working 8 hours so I can run it 4 hours straight and then give it a 4-hour break for the rest of my shift. That's not what that means. If it says 50% duty cycle, it probably means more like you can run it 20 minutes and give it a 40-minute break or something like that. Even though it is the setting or the rating is claiming is that you can run it for 30 minutes and then give it a 30-minute break. But in any case, this grinder, I don't know what the duty cycle is on it. I don't even know if it has a duty cycle. It is made in Taiwan, which everything is now, so that's not a huge deal. Even I think Baldor, I don't remember if where Jet is made, or if they even say that. I think everything new that you're going to buy is probably going to be made in Taiwan, as far as grinders go. Maybe Baldor and Jet. Well, no, I'm pretty sure Jet is Taiwan. Maybe Baldor is USA made, but there was somebody who was talking about that, and they did some research, and they even called Baldor, and Baldor wasn't even sure, or they wouldn't say. couldn't say exactly, you know, that 100% of it's made here or whatever. I don't know. Take that for what it's worth, which isn't a whole lot because it's like secondhand to secondhand. But in my opinion, if that particular person who I'm talking about can't figure out if it's made in USA by calling the company and talking to somebody, then it's probably not all made there. Although, as he said, based on how much factory space they have, he doesn't really know what they're doing with all that if they're not making them here. So anyway, that was kind of an inconclusive thing, but basically the vast majority of what you're going to buy nowadays is either going to be China or Taiwan, as you well know. I mean, everything is that way anyway. But anyway, so this is a really cool little detail that DeWalt did here, which is they actually put an old-fashioned name badge on it. It's riveted on. It's not a sticker. It may be a sticker on a piece of metal, but it is actually metal. It is actually stamped right there, which I think is very cool. I like that. Whether or not it's going to hold up like the old ones do, I don't know, but I don't really care either. I mean, at least they're giving me something. And they actually built their own guards, which is amazing. Most of these companies, Raycon, Wen, Ryobi, have the same exact guard. They've got 3 screws. They don't have a dust port. They've got 3 screws. Each screw has 14 different pieces you have to put on. You know, the bolt, you know, 2 or 3 or 4 washers, a nut, you know, and then the guard thing. And it's just a big mess, a big hassle to deal with each one of them. And then usually the same thing holds the, you know, this one down here, there's a little pin, and then that one bolt holds the guard on one side and holds the tool rest on the other side. And the one up here holds, you know, the guard on one side, and the spark arrestor and the whatever this thing is, ice shield on and up there. And the one in the back just doesn't do anything except have, you know, 14 pieces for no reason. This one, it's got 5 screws, and they're just their own thing. They thread into the other half of the guard. So I really like that. It shows to me personally that DeWalt actually went out of their way to design a better tool. Now, maybe they stole that from the better ones like Baldor or something like that, and they just put it on stamped metal instead of cast iron. I don't know. I've never used one of those really nice grinders. Anyway, so that shows me some level of quality there. Also, everything about this grind, well, not other than the heating up thing, just about everything about this grinder is good. The only thing I will say is that the tool rests are basically the same quality as the Wen had, which is extremely light aluminum, which aluminum isn't bad, but this stuff feels really, really light. So maybe not the top quality stuff. I don't know. I don't really deal with aluminum all that much. I will definitely say, though, that it has an extremely rough finish. The edges, when I got it on the top here where it's machined, were not deburred at all. Same thing goes for this steel portion down here. So know that, and I would just recommend getting a file and doing that, because you're going to cut yourself at some point on it. Maybe file down the top machined part too. The other thing that I don't like is that, if you can see there, particulate from the wheel and whatever I was grinding on this side as well of metal had built up on here. It's kind of pitted this. I don't know if it's pitted or it's built it up or what, but anyway, this is no longer perfectly flat. There was a big chunk of what looked like metal and wheel filings, particulate down here, that was basically welded on here. I had to get a wire wheel and like hit it with it to wear that away. And that was after, doing everything, mainly using the wire wheel and not hardly touching this at all, except to do a really quick, clean up the end of a screwdriver type thing. So, yeah, just take that for what it's worth. Maybe invest in a better tool rest. I've got a Rikon up there, slow speed grinder up there, incidentally with the old annoying 15-part screws, and then I have a one-way Wolverine jig on there, and it does collect material like that, but it's not nearly as bad as this. And I think it's like cast iron or something like that, so I don't remember what material it is. It does have a black oxide finish, so it doesn't like weld itself like this does. I think it just kind of collects it a little bit, and you kind of wipe it off and it's gone. With this, you're going to need a wire wheel and a drill to get that off of there, because it was on there. I even had a cold chisel and I was kind of trying to scrape it away, and it was sharpened, by the way. And it dug into this, but it wasn't touching the build up there. So a wire wheel is definitely a necessity for this. And the only reason I was worried about it, other than the fact that it kind of looks ugly, but it's a grinder, so who cares? The reason I was worried about it is because it's not flat anymore if it's got a build up there. So just be aware of that. Maybe invest in a little bit better tool rest for it. But otherwise, great little grinders. You're going to be happy with either the 8-inch or the 6-inch version of it. And I know that you're not supposed to use any wheel really without a rest. I'm actually to the point with this where I'm almost going to take the whole guard off of it. I had an incident, and this is just me personally. This is not I'm not OSHA, and I don't say that, I don't know what OSHA's opinion on this is, but I had one of these DeWalt wire wheels, which is incredibly stiff, so that might be the other issue with it. And I had a part that it was actually one of these that I was deburring with that, and that, by the way, this is way too coarse to do any fine work like I'm wanting to do on screwdrivers and that type of thing. I like these ones that are much finer bristles or wires. Anyway, I was using this with a tool rest, that wire wheel with a tool rest, and I had this, and I put it in there, and I must have pushed it in too hard or something. Because it grabbed it, and before I knew it, it was like stuck between the wire wheel and the tool rest. And of course I turned it off as fast as I could. But that was, it went from on the tool rest flat to vertical, and my hand is like, here holding it, like that close. And there is no reason that shouldn't have just gone, straight down in there with my hand. So that was absolutely a miracle. Thank you, Lord, that I wasn't, that I still have a hand. Because that wire wheel would not have been good on the skin. Let me just say that. So yeah, I'm probably going to take the guard off of this. I've worn this in enough that it's not really losing fibers. It has definitely lost quite a few fibers. You can't really see down there, but take my word for it. It definitely lost fibers, but I think it's kind of through with that to some degree. And I always wear eye protection and all that anyway, so I don't think it's that big of a deal. These always lose fibers. It's just that when you first start them up, all of the loose ones are, you know, hey, we can escape now, and they go flying off. So just be aware of that if you ever use a wire wheel. So yeah, I may take the guard off this side just so that I don't have a repeat of that. Something gets caught and gets sucked in here. But I don't really think that... I don't know if I'm going to do that or not. And by the way, that guard was extremely close to the wheel. It was maybe a 1/16 of an inch away. So it was not an issue of me being... Of it being like half an inch away or something like that. It's like, oh, there's this huge gap. I wonder what happened, you know. No, it was like, it was right there. You know, you couldn't have gotten any closer without hitting the tool rest with the wheel. So, I will say I really do like the design that DeWalt did, which is to make this actually as thick as a normal grinding wheel. Again, it's like they actually put thought and design into their products. But I'm not going to be using that wire wheel anymore. I'm returning it. After that experience, it's like, no, I'm not gonna deal with that. And again, it's too coarse for what I want to use for it anyway. So anyway. So I won't be using that. But anyway, yeah, that is my video for today. Hope you guys liked it. If you're in the market for a grinder, I highly recommend either one of the DeWalts, the 6-inch or the 8-inch. They're good tools. So. Hope you guys have a good day. Woodworker Royer out.